was like, I'm just this little 7-year-old. I'm like, sure, Dad, whatever, like, how much do I have to practice? Oh, we can start small, half hour a day, maybe, like nothing too big. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm in. Then that turns into 2 hours a day before you know it, right? And but so I grew up doing classical music, playing cello, and went to like a high school for the arts and stuff like that. Got a scholarship and all that kind of thing, and then that rebellious spirit came back, and I disappointed a lot of people, including my parents.
How so? Because did you pull out of music school?
Yeah, I quit playing the cello. I like put my foot down in 11th grade, and I was like, nope, I am done with this. I do not want to go to a classical music school. I don't want to go to college for that. I do not want to do this.
What do you want to do instead?
Be a ski bum.
Oh.
Yeah, be a professional skier. I was like, I'm going to be a really great skier, Mom, Dad. Like, doesn't that sound just amazing?
I mean, did you show promise as a skier, or to the point where you could
I felt
them?
like I was really good, but I had never competed in anything, So it wasn't like I was, winning competitions or had any kind of like, any record to show from. But so I quit everything and graduated high school, and then took a year off, didn't go to college, and was planning to go to college a year later, and moved to Telluride and was a ski bum in Telluride, Colorado for winter, and had a blast. And towards the end of that winter, of course, I'm just like, Mom, Dad, like, I'm really liking what I'm doing, and so I think I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and not, not going to worry about this college thing right now.
Oh, I can hear them wail.
Oh, yeah, the disappointment cloud. Yeah, and then so I moved from Telluride back to the Sierra, and didn't touch this same cello that I'd had since I was 13 or 14. Didn't really touch it much at all for the next 8 years probably.
Hey Dave, can I ask you a question? So when you were in Telluride, was that a time when you kind of got turned on to some new music? You weren't playing music, but were you listening? I mean, the big
I didn't listen to
there.
any I think I've been to the Bluegrass Festival there years later, but it wasn't. I mean, I was getting into music for sure. I mean, I saw Buddy Miles play live there in a little underground saloon, and
cool.
And saw P-Funk All-Stars, and started going to shows and stuff, but and I always really loved seeing live music. That feeling was like totally there, and that did stick with me all those years where I wasn't actually playing it. Like, I loved being there and watching it, and like I think I could feel that I like wanted to be on the stage.
So Dave, up until that time, had you ever performed with a band doing sort of popular music or doing music that wasn't classical?
Yeah, I couldn't jam to save my life. Like, the first time somebody said, well, yeah, let's just play something in D. I'm like, okay, so let's see. There's a D, G, A. So what do we do? What do I do? Because I was just, all I knew how to do was read music.
Yeah.
And so I think what helped me kind of break through that wall was just not playing it for 8 years. And in the process, in the middle of that, or towards the end of that time frame, I picked up the guitar and I started learning how to play guitar and write songs. And I just immediately started writing songs when I picked up the guitar, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I want to do. And then a friend convinced me, a few years later, to start getting the cello out and try to work it into what we were doing, because I'd kind of had a few friends that we were playing live a little bit in our town and stuff, and she's like, you should get that cello out and just play something. I bet you can come up with something. And sure enough time had passed, I think, and when you teach yourself how to play guitar, you get used to making a lot of mistakes, so maybe I just stopped caring about playing the right note, the perfect note or something, and just picked up the cello and said, don't tell me the key. I'll just start playing. And I just started playing, and then it just grew from there. I was like, oh, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Well, it's funny, when I think about all the musicians we have on this program, for every 50, there are maybe 2 or 3 who are classically trained.
Right.
And I'm always kind of curious to know from those of you who sort of were reared that way with your instruments, has your training become, in your mind, more valuable to you as you've had to stretch out a little bit and understand different sort of
Yeah,
idioms,
absolutely.
musical idioms, you know?
Yeah, I mean the technique, something with cellos and fiddles and all that is your bow arm and your wrists and everything. All that fluidity is something that you really are better off learning it when you're a little kid and doing that kind of training through classical music. Because once you have that, then even if you put it down like I did, it never really goes away. You know, that fluidity and that knowledge of how to play the instrument is like there because you learned it as a kid. You know.
Huh. At what point did you start to sort of shoulder the instrument like you do?
Yeah. So I started playing with it, just letting the end pin all the way out, and then after a while, I was like, probably I guess that would have been in like 07 or 08. It's like, well, I've been doing that for a while, and one of these days the end pin's going to probably just like snap off or something. It's all this leverage going on, and I should just try it. Just hook a guitar strap on there and just see how it works. And
Does it feel good?
yeah, it's great. I mean, there's like fancy cello straps out there, but this is exactly what I want. I wanted to be able to. My thought at the time was to be able to lean into a single mic, old school like bluegrass style, be able to move around the stage and not be stuck. So I just went to the music store and I bought a $5 guitar strap, tied it on, and was like, oh yeah, that'll work. All right, we're good.
All right. Okay, well, so just with a couple of minutes before we get you back to some music, maybe you and Julie then could now go ahead to your story about how the band formed, how this group formed, how you all met, and how it happened.
Tell them the real story or the no.
Do you want all the juicy details?
Well, our audience likes juicy
Is this
details.
R-rated? No.
I was like, sure. Oh yeah. Okay. We're ready.
Well, I played on the first album. She hired me to come into the studio and play on the first album, and then we basically started dating and hanging out and being a couple. And I liked the band. We had a great time in the studio. I was like, well, I guess I'll just move to Sheridan and be in the 2 tracks, and stuck around. We did another album a year later. Went to Nashville and recorded with Will for our second album, and it's just kind of grown from there. And then Julie had 2 kids from a previous marriage, and they're awesome. And so we just been enjoying I've been enjoying the family life. I sort of jumped into a family situation. And
wow, yeah. How old are your kids?
9 and 12. So
9 and
Henry's
12.
9 and Ruby's 12.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha. So you got a 4th grader and a
7th
grader.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. And
All
they're
right.
both playing music. They started off playing violin, and now they both play cello. And Dave did
Oh.
not say play cello. They said
Really?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can switch to cello in 4th grade, and so they both made that switch.
They have a good music program at their school. Was it the school that sort of
They
urged them to
do.
play?
Their elementary school, they start kids on violin if they want at 1st grade. And in 4th grade, they can switch to viola or cello.
All right.
And they have an after-school orchestra program that they go to every week starting in 2nd grade. It's amazing.
It's
Very
really awesome.
nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that makes me smile. That sounds really cool. Anything else to tell before we get back to music about the band and how it formed? So was the 2016 album the one that won the Wyoming?
Yeah.
Was
Yes.
was that a big deal for you all to?
It was. We
Yeah.
love Wyoming Public Radio, and they're just so great for our community. We listen to it all the time, and it's such a great station, of course. And so, we were really proud of that album. Our last album we're super proud of too. So I just feel like we're just progressing, and each one just gets a little better. So.
Yeah, music changing a lot. Is the music changing? Since if you look at the sort of
Well, we're getting these guys to sing more. This guy Fred over here on the drums and Taylor on the bass.
So you're calling him Fred, but
Or Fernando.
So
Yeah.
you go by Fred though.
I do, but Fernando's my name, and I just went by
I
Fred
call him
because it was
Fernando.
easier for
you do.
everybody to remember.
Okay, well, I like Fernando.
Thank you.
I'm going to
I
go with
do
that.
too.
I'm going to
I
go
do
with
too.
that.
Thank you.
Hey, let's get back to some more music with the 2 tracks, and we'll talk a little bit more later. Welcome back to 2 tracks.
Cheers to solitude, so nice to be in a shadow. Sometimes you feel it when you need to be by yourself and all alone. Fireplace is burning loud, it's something to stoke before the world burns out. Thick skin, worn eyes. You don't have to get up for the sunrise. Lay your head in your bed. You can smell the roses when it's time. I like to be at home. Home is where you dream of, where you wanna be. Stayed up all night writing songs about traveling. It's 4 a.m. but the song is not ready for the morning. Thick skin, worn eyes. You don't have to get up for the sunrise. Lay your head in your bed. You can smell the roses when it's time. To be at home. Home is where you dream of, where you wanna be. Stayed up all night writing songs about traveling. It's 4 a.m. but the song is not ready for the morning. Thick skin, worn eyes. You don't have to get up for the sunrise. Lay your head in your bed. You can smell the roses when it's time. Thick skin, worn eyes. You don't have to get up for the sunrise. Lay your head in your bed. You can smell the roses when it's time. All right. Well, that one's called Cheers to Solitude. That's the title track off of our last album, released in 2020. Yes, we did release an album in 2020. We would not have chosen that, but yeah, it was a great album to record, and we were actually able to get right in the studio just before the world burnt out, as the song goes.
Awake at dawn, like a bird looking for its song, like the wind picking up speed to race the sun. Step out to feel the cold ground against my heels. Watch the waves as they break the horizon. It's a lonely place. We are like loneliness. It's an empty place. But we are like emptiness. The canyon wren sings its dips and sings its spins as the fog rolls across the mountain. Your eyes still closed, like the flowers along the road, waiting for the morning sun to bloom. And I hear you stir, like rain fall upon the desert, from the solitude of a random dream. It's a lonely place, but we are like loneliness. It's an empty place, but we are like emptiness. The canyon wren sings its dips and sings its spins as the fog rolls across the mountain. As I sit back against the rising tide, goosebumps on my skin. The ocean's warmer than the air I breathe. It's a lonely place, but we are like loneliness. It's an empty place, but we are like emptiness. The canyon wren sings its dips and sings its spins as the fog rolls across the mountain. The canyon wren sings its dips and sings its spins as the fog rolls across the mountain. Thank you.
All right.
I go down to Baja, Mexico, and I wrote that one about the experience being down there in Baja. It's a lonely and empty place where we go, and but we like it that way. And you hear the call of the bird, the canyon wren, all the time, everywhere you're going, walking around the hills there, and often fog rolling across the desert mountains that are right on the edge of the Pacific. And so it's kind of fun when you write a song that takes you back to a place that you like going every time you sing it.
Some really good imagery in that song, Davo. And that's a brand new tune. We're going to record that here hopefully soon. All right, well, I had to write a song about my children. Otherwise, they'd be very disappointed. So actually, I have a few. This one's called Eternal School Bus, and it's I think it's just a reminder to us to just, to be young at heart. Pictures hung up on the staircase wall. Kids grow so fast, one by one they all are tall. Can't remember where the time has gone. The toys you used to play with, sing those lullaby songs. We don't always look around for that lullaby Time is our own shadow, chasing us in the sun. We keep running while our children keep us young. You love watching those fiery colored leaves dropping on the ground and whistling through the trees. We make a pile to jump in right before the big breeze, burying our faces in our childhood memories. We don't always look around for that lullaby sound till it's gone, till it's gone. Time is our own shadow, chasing us in the sun. We keep running while our children keep us young. Snow's coming soon, fall season ends at noon. Slip sliding like perfume from the freshest cut flower, raising hands. In a classroom full of us, it's no wonder we're all riding the eternal school bus. We don't always look around for that lullaby sound till it's gone, till it's gone. Time is our own shadow, chasing us in the sun. We keep running while our children keep us young. I wanna paint you a big picture, a snapshot, a summary, all the good moments, not the bad ones. You can leave those all with me. We don't always look around for that lullaby sound till it's gone, till it's gone. Time is our own shadow, chasing us in the sun. We keep running while our children keep us young. Time is our own shadow, chasing us in the sun. We keep running while our children keep us young.
All right. Nice tune. Hey, we're going to get back to some more music with the two tracks in just a second. I got a few things to tell you. Next week on Red Barn Radio, we continue season 20 with yet another in our series of programs showcasing bands from a region which is becoming known as the epicenter of roots music, Southern style. What region is that, you might be asking? Well, I'm plunked right here in front row of it. I'm talking about Central Kentucky. And you know what else I'm talking about? The Marble Canyon Rangers. They're coming to play on Red Barn Radio next week. If you've lived here, you know every member of this band because they've collectively played a huge part in shaping the music culture in this region over the past 15 or 20 years. They've all been on Red Barn Radio one time or another as parts of other bands. The Rangers is the cake. They are the ingredients. The Rangers is the big-time cake. They are Eric Cummins, Kurt Chapman, Mike DeLong, Brandon Bolds, and Don Rogers, folks. The Rangers are going to play some balls to the walls, bluegrass, dueling, mando, and fiddle and guitar jams. They can groove and they can pare down the acoustic music to a pleasing sound that you like. You tell me if you think there's someplace in the region, not in the region, in the world, where the Southern music fires are burning brighter than they burn in the bluegrass region of Kentucky. These are some pickers, my friends, and Red Barn Radio is your pick for next Wednesday night. Plunk yourself down in the front row with me for a special night of music with the Marble Canyon Rangers. How did they do with that, John? All right. Let's get back to tonight's Red Barn Radio program. We come to you live on all of our social media platforms, broadcasting from the Arts Place Performance Hall here in the grand city of Lexington, Kentucky. And now welcome back the two tracks to the Red Barn stage.
All right.
All right. Well, this song I got the chorus from a Gary Snyder poem. It's a short poem that he wrote called Dragonfly, and the poem itself is just, Dragonfly, you're dead on the snow. How did you come so high, and did you leave your seed child in a mountain pool before you died? And that's the whole poem, and I was reading it one day, and it just sounded like the chorus to a song, and so I took the liberty to build the song around it, and then I did eventually get the fortunate opportunity to meet Gary Snyder in person and play the song for him, and he, at the end of it, I was like, I hope this is okay that I did this, Gary. And he's like, oh yeah, you did more work than I did. So this one's for you, Gary. I see you flying with the sunlight. I see you flying with the wind. Old dragon, where are you going? Old dragon, where have you been? Old wisdom of your wings, tell me your stories of eternity. Dragonfly, how you come and go? Short-lived wonder, what did you know of this high mountain pass? Dragonfly, dead on the snow. How did you come so high? Did you leave your seed child in a mountain pool before you died? So high, did you leave your seed child in a mountain pool before you died? Oh, along the water, along the meadow's edge, I see you flying with the sunlight. I see you flying with the wind.
That's one of my favorites. We'll let Dave get set up on cello over here. Well, it's that time of year, right? The fall. We've got a tune about the leaves falling and all that seasonal love. So this one's titled Red, Yellow, Orange. Born, your mama has passed. There's nothing, oh nothing that lasts. So look around, imagine when, if yesterday came back again, started up like an old phonograph. Life changes with the colors of the trees, red, yellow, orange, and all those in between. We move it, the music slow, swinging round to a do-si-do. How do we make it to bed? Someone's thinking about you tonight. When hearts are young and yearning for some good advice, a poor old back needs to bend. A helping hand is what we lend. We don't wanna fall behind. Life changes with the colors of the trees, red, yellow, orange, and all those in between. We move it, the music slow, swinging round to a do-si-do. How do we make it to bed? It's an old friend who's not doing well. It's a long line when we ain't got the time. It's the quiet nights when we can't sit still, thinking how we're gonna pay the bills, trying to make everything alright. Life changes with the colors of the trees, red, yellow, orange, and all those in between. We move it, the music slow, swinging round to a do-si-do. How do we make it to bed? How do we make it to bed? How do we make it to bed?
Just realized, I got a song about a canyon, a song about a dragonfly, a song about a bird. Who lives in a canyon? Well,
Did you not realize that when we were making our set list for today?
yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Let's see what-
It's all your animal songs, all your animal spirits.
I've got a song about beauty. Yeah, it's true.
Just
Right.
2 songs about canyons.
Right,
No.
yeah.
Canyon Ren.
Okay. Maybe I'll start just, I don't know, writing about mountain tops rather than canyons.
River bottoms.
Mountains are empty, but they are my friends. They never judge me. Like an empty cup, I pour my thoughts into the woods. Red firs lift them up to drink. Oh, my spirit isn't so alone in the dark of night. When I feel Mother Earth lying next to me, that's why I'm lost in this canyon. Don't wanna be found. Don't ever come looking for me. That's why I'm lost in this canyon. Don't wanna be found. Don't ever come looking for me. Yeah, people drift through this life just half asleep. I swear they're scared to grow old and die. But my mama, she tells me it's too easy to let it all pass by. Gotta stop and find positivity. No, I don't need much, and it seems I should want a whole lot less. I know there's joy in pure necessities. That's why I'm lost in this canyon. Don't wanna be found. Don't ever come looking for me. That's why I'm lost in this canyon. Don't wanna be found. Don't ever come looking for me. Yeah, Henry Thoreau says why he went away to the woods. He was looking for the meaning in his life. And Gary Snyder writes those wild mountaineers that go up to find surprise. You see it in their eyes. I don't know much, but the meaning's at the end of this river of thought. When I have the time to understand my mind, that's why I'm lost in this canyon. Don't wanna be found. Don't ever come looking for me. That's why I'm lost in this canyon. Don't wanna be found. Don't ever come looking for me. That's why I'm lost in this canyon. Don't wanna be found. Don't ever come looking for me. That's why I'm lost in this canyon. Don't wanna be found. Don't ever come looking for me. That's why I'm lost in this canyon. Don't wanna be found. Don't ever come looking for me. That's why I'm lost in this canyon. Don't wanna be found. Don't ever come looking for me.
Nice tune. Hey, we've been talking with Dave Hubner and Julie Sheffs here on Red Barn tonight. They are two of the four members of Two Tracks. We also have Taylor Phillips and Fernando Serenat. Taylor, you're closest to me. Why don't we start with you? Tell us where you come from, and so where's your music background?
Well, I was born and raised in Sheridan, Wyoming.
Okay.
So I'm the local. I moved out of there when I was 18 and went on to college, and my whole youth was sports, very sports driven, very sports. My brothers both played with the Yankees in the 90s, and like it was a kind of a sports all the time. But my mom was always music, and it was always in the background, but sports was always the forefront. And so I left Sheridan, Wyoming, and I went to Eugene, Oregon to play baseball for college, and played my freshman year. Then my sophomore year, I threw my shoulder out.
Are you a left-handed pitcher?
I was a left-handed pitcher. Yep, good. That was very quick. That's astute. So I threw my shoulder out and started hanging out with a bunch of guys that played a lot of music. And 1 year later, I moved down to Clearwater, Florida, and joined the Players School of Music, which is a school led by Jeff Berlin, the bassist, jazz bassist. And I did that 1 year intensive and started up a band there, and then ended up playing music for a living for about 8 years in Florida, playing all the various clubs and the Disney and Universal Studios and all that kind of stuff.
Were you playing jazz music?
We played a little bit of everything. We had a huge we were a cover band. So we did we had hundreds of songs. So kind of mixed it up, and had a little jazz influence in there, but mostly it was just, stuff people wanted to hear. That's kind of the thing you do in Florida. Then I moved back to Wyoming and kind of thought I was going to leave my music days behind me.
To do what?
My family owns a rock quarry. We make big rocks into small rocks.
There's a song about that.
Super exciting stuff. My dad bought it back in '86, and so it's been in the family for a long time. And so I had a little bit of a backdrop to go back to after finishing up music. And so I started doing that and kind of thought I wasn't going to play anymore. And then I played guitar, by the way, I should mention. I had never played bass before. I was an electric guitar player in the band that I played in Florida and played for a living. And so I had never played bass, and Julie texted me, and she was like, "Hey, we need a bassist. Can you play bass?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Will you?" And I said, "Yes." And so I went and bought some stuff, and they threw me right in the fire, like right off the bat. We went on like a 15-day West Coast tour, and I had obviously we got some rehearsal time in, but I had never really performed a whole lot playing bass. So yeah, it was trial by fire, but I'm getting more and more comfortable with it all the time, and I love traveling with these guys. They're amazing, and we have a lot of good time.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it just seems like you guys are kindred spirits and stuff. Did you ever think about Tommy John surgery?
No, my brother kind of went through that whole thing. But no, honestly, I wasn't good enough to really pursue it any further than I had. I mean, I played, but I wasn't going to be moving on after my college days. And I just didn't have that drive to go through the whole process, to rebuild and everything.
Sure.
So I just gave it up and started hanging out with hippies playing jam music.
All right.
Good choice.
I was in
Taylor.
Eugene, Oregon. I mean,
right. Yeah. What else?
We
cool.
started playing a lot of, like they did in the 90s, early 2000s. It was like Fish and Grateful Dead and stuff like that.
Sure.
We all went through that phase, and we all still love that stuff. But now it's kind of with age, we've toned
You're making
down
your
a
own.
little bit.
You're making your own stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Thanks, Taylor. Yeah. And then there's Fernando Serenat, who we've referred to but not spoken to directly. Fernando, tell us about you and your musical past. We learned only that you have played with some, I think, did you say Mexican bands? Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, first, I'm the seventh of a family, 7 brothers, sisters, and my mom and dad moved from Mexico to Wyoming many years ago in the 50s. And so my dad was a musician, but it wasn't his profession in Mexico. It seemed like all my family were cooks, and they all played music, and they could all sing. I was always so impressed by it. But as I loved music. Our whole family did. Always listened to it a lot, and I just picked the drums because I loved the tones of all the drums. And so, when I was probably in 4th grade, I'd go to Mexican dances with my mom and dad, and I'd sit at the end of the stage, and I'd watch the drummer, and I would watch what the kick pedal would do, and then I'd watch what the hi-hat would do and what the snare would do, and I just would think about it and think about it. So one day I told my dad, I said, I think I can do this. And so he bought me a used kit for $100, and as it turned out, he knew all the guys in the Mexican bands that were in Billings, and they were superb. And one night, one of them came up and he said, "I'd like you to sit in." And I was like, "No, I can't do that."
How old were you at that time?
I was a 6th grader.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, and so anyway, they gave me that chance, and I did it. I was able to do it, and from then on, I'd have a drum kit set up in the living room, and I was always the first one home from school, so I'd be playing, and of course they're really loud. No cymbals at that time, but just drums, they're loud. But all of my family, they were brothers and sisters, come from school, they'd sit down, my dad would sit down, and they'd just watch, and they'd listen. And took off from there, had the great fortune of playing for a bit, then I railroaded for 28 years, and I had a family. I've been married to my wife Millie for 44 years, 2 kids, 3 grandkids.
All right.
And they're all musicians, but they have other professions. But anyway, once I retired, people obviously paid attention because they started to call, and I started to get a lot of jobs. And I've been able to record with a lot of different people. I've been grateful for that. And of course, with 2 tracks, I've known Julie for a long time when I was playing with many other bands and a lot of bands with Taylor. I would always see Julie there, and she was always positive, but was focused on music all the time. That is the one thing that I admired tremendously about her. And so when I was done with my last band, Julie and I was like, let's start a band. And so I said, okay, yeah, sure. And I remember when we started out, before we met Dave, before we met Taylor, she'd call me up, and of course my wife through all this has been so patient. Because I was gone a lot as a railroader, but playing music, she's been tremendously supportive. I couldn't ask. I'm very lucky that way. And she loves music too. But anyway, I'd go to Julie's house, and she'd say, I got a new song. And so I'd take a snare, tap it out, and we would figure out, oh, okay, maybe here's where the bridge goes. Maybe that's where this goes. Anyway, that's how we'd start these songs. I love that creativeness of it. And I'm retired from the railroad, been retired for some years. So I'm very fortunate. I'm living a dream that I've always wanted to. My brothers and sisters and their family, they're always so supportive. I have family in Mexico that we keep in touch on Facebook. They're in bands, and really good bands, and so we're always talking back and forth. It's just a nice thing. And then, did I mention I love food? If I wasn't a musician, I would cook all the time. But, yeah.
Well, that's part of your genetics as much as the music is.
It is. I love them both, and my family, and my grandkids, of course.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I'm lucky to be here. They take me in. I'm much older than they are, but they're wonderful. This group, I've had the great fortune to play with all groups that are really good. Everybody's been superb. This group is definitely one of the best because we can go into the studio, somebody has an idea, and we've already set down the song. We can argue for a bit, and that's good and healthy, but then it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's where it should go. I love that process. That's why I think, do so well. That's why we're getting ready for our 4th album. That's why our 3rd album made the charts on Americana, and the album itself made the charts. That I'd never thought that I would get to play and be in a band that got to do that. That was huge for me. It's huge for 2 tracks, but definitely huge for me. I'm again, fortunate.
Wow. Well, they're fortunate to have you, and we're fortunate that you're here. So yeah, it seems to me that the best thing that can happen in a studio, right, is that you bring that positive spirit to the project.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you can go in there and be just super hot players and everything else, but you come in there with a negative vibe, it's just going to go bad.
It doesn't work.
And you guys definitely have that feel, and that's great. It's no wonder your music works.
Thank you.
So I was looking at the map because I don't. I'm from south, more or less. So in my mind, I go to Carolina. Or to Old Virginia, or and I see the Kentucky moon and those kind of things. I don't, I can't access much imagery from the West. So anyway, I look at this map and I see we are considered south, but we're the northernmost state in the sort of Appalachian South. And then I look out at you, and you're the southernmost state sort of in that region that's called the Pacific Northwest. Right. I was trying, I'm listening to your music, and I'm trying to make some sense of all the different sounds that I hear. You went down to Nashville to record, so you obviously have a certain affinity for southern sourced music, yet so much of what you play has a sound that I can't really put my finger on, and I think some of it has to do with what you do, Fernando. Of course, it's the introduction. It's the role of the cello. It's it's the imagery in your lyrics. There's all kinds of different things going on that are really fascinating and make your music a really wonderful experience, a listening experience, and also a nice experience here. So, all to say, my question I think really is, can you help us understand what it is about your region, or about what it is living in a mountain state in the foothills of the Eastern Rockies that means a lot to you? I'm just kind of wondering, we sort of have a sense of our place and why we love it. Why do you love the place that you come from? And what can you say about that?
I guess for me, it's all about the wildness. So the West I've lived in California and Colorado and now Wyoming, and there are so many wild places that are empty and remote, and places where you don't see another person. And one trip I did, I went 12 days backpacking without seeing another person besides my trip mate. And I guess for me, that's the thing that I love and holds a special place for me about the West, is just being able to get away from people.
He's not an introvert.
Nah.
Not at all.
Yeah. It is true, though. We only have about 20,000 people in our small town in Sheridan, and the closest town, Billings, is 2 hours north, and Casper's 2 hours. Casper, Wyoming's 2 hours south, but.
How big is Billings in comparison? 100. Okay.
100,000.
Yeah.
So it's like, and there's few little tiny towns on the other side of the Bighorn Mountains, but it's like we get this whole mountain range to ourselves. We often feel like, but still have a thriving community with a really great historic downtown, and a lot of artists have retired there. The first polo field ever is in Sheridan, Wyoming. So it's very centered around the horse, and it has a lot of horse culture and a lot of history with that. So
we're kind of familiar with that here, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's the history of the region is really inspiring. We're just south of, we're less than a half an hour from the Crow Reservation. There's a lot of Native American history there. The Battle of the Little Bighorn is just up the road from us. So my history background and all of that, it's just very a lot of history in that region. So, and it's also a center point for us to go home and be with our families and have that quiet time for us and our lives and our families, and then when we travel or go on the road, we're kind of in a central area where we can go out west pretty easily, get out there in a couple days. We're close to Colorado. We play, in the region quite a bit, but we can. It's a hop, skip, and a jump to the West Coast, Minnesota, the Midwest, and everything. We did have to get on a plane to come out here, but we have driven out here for a tour before too, which was really great to just go through all the regions and experience all the different cultures and food, right, Fred? Food. That's very important. It's like number one.
What draws you to the South? What you recorded in Nashville.
Yeah.
You sort of made this musical connection there, and you talked about liking the studio experience, working with that group of people? And I know they're not all, you know, country music people in Nashville. Nashville's got all kinds of music, but
Sure.
do you not have recording studios out in the West where you come from who can sort of invoke that sort of the magic of the region where you live?
Well, we do have recording studios out there, and we actually just did track a couple new songs that we're working on for the future at a recording studio in Laramie, Wyoming. And part of that was to kind of take advantage of that convenience and to try it out and still work remotely with Will Kimbrough and some of the folks we know in Nashville, you know. But
Talk about your relationship with Will Kimbrough.
yeah, I think that's really our connection with Nashville is we got introduced to Will, and he is just both a phenomenal person and also just an incredible instrumentalist. The guitar playing, his guitar playing is just second to none in my mind, and then he can also pick up a banjo and a mandolin and you know, keys and acoustic guitar and different guitar, you know, just kind of seems to
He's
know.
amazing.
He's very sensitive and to like our sound and knows just how to add a little bit of depth to it to kind of fill out certain parts that could use that without changing the sound. You know, he doesn't go in there and like change our songs or something. He just hears what we're doing and goes, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna do this," and it just like, "Oh yeah, that's amazing," you know. And I mean, he's so incredible. And then the engineer we worked with, Sean Sullivan, at the butcher shop, he is just, you know, down to earth, humble guy, and yet he's got multiple Grammys, and he's a wizard at the, you know, at the digital audio desk, and a, you know, great engineer and just a nice guy. Like, they're all just really nice, down to earth people that aren't caught up, I don't think, in any of the usual Nashville stuff. You know, they're just making really great music.
So did you feel it was essential for you guys to find some real super wizard type people to help you with your material, or did you just feel it was just a privilege to have the opportunity and so you seized it?
Well, yeah, actually, a mutual friend of Will's, a mutual friend said, you need to have Will produce you. And she actually reached out and said, just talk with him. And so
Why do you think she said that? Why did she say that to you? Because she recognized that your music had some complexity to it, and it was a project that was maybe a little bit
Yeah.
different for him, something he would appreciate?
Yeah, he had done quite a few solo artists. He had done bands before too, but I think he preferred to do solo artists and bring them into the studio and do. And so, at first he said, "I don't normally do bands, but I've heard your stuff, and I think, you know, this is going to be fun for me." You know, and it's trial and error. We go in, and we're like, oh, you know, and so we clicked with him in that regard, and yeah, I think that we loved his sound. I've had his album since I was in college. So when she said, "Hey, there's this guy Will Kimbrough," I said, "The Will Kimbrough?" "Oh yeah, Will Kimbrough." And I hadn't followed him in a long time. I didn't know what he was doing, but I knew that I liked his music, and I knew that I liked his sound, and I played him for these guys, and it was the vocals out front, really good, earthy vocals, good tone, you know, but like very wrapped around the lyrics of the song, and really kind of, yeah, based on like what we heard from his albums, we thought, we like this sound. We would love for our band to sound like this certain mix. And everybody has a certain mix they like.
Sure.
And we liked his mix, so.
All right. I really like the tune you guys did, a tune you're going to be playing in a little bit, or later on, next to last. That beautiful tune. That's been a big tune for you guys.
Yeah.
Right?
That was on the top 40 Americana radio singles chart.
That's pretty
along
cool.
with
Is
the
there a
album.
story to tell about that song?
Well, I mean,
And
I
how you
wrote
got
it.
Will to join you to play on that, which was fun.
We did the remote, the COVID video, and he's always willing to, you know, work with you and fit it into his busy schedule. And but yeah, I wrote that song on the beach down in Baja. I have a place down there, and it was just one of those songs that just spilled out. Basically, I just had been playing some music with some other folks down there and jamming some simple melodies and stuff that was just easy to follow and fun. And so I started strumming the same old two chords that, you strum in a million different songs, you know, and instead of deciding to change it or mess with it or anything, I just started singing a melody over it, and 5 minutes later, like, oh, there's the song.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's one of those lucky moments, I guess.
And is that song on Cheers to Solitude?
It is, yeah.
All right. And that's the latest album.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some other stuff in the works, you
We
say.
do.
Yeah.
And which will be fun for us to follow. And we've sure had a great time being with you guys tonight. I'm so glad you could make the trip and spend time with us on Red Barn Radio.
We're so glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
All right. Hey, let's welcome back the 2 tracks to Red Barn Radio.
A man disappears one day, left his woman in the grave, but nothing but a peck on the side. Oh, he'll come back not satisfied until the thrill, running around with all those crazy wild girls at the end. She waits by the window as the cars pass on by. How can a woman be so bottled up inside? He don't come home no more. He don't come home no more. He don't come home. The ground dries up, there's no hope for crops this year. The drought sets in the kitchen, playing unfair. Oh, the man behind the table, he sips on his beer. The children wept and the mother swept and cleaned. She stood around the corner as she stirred inside. How can a woman be so bottled up inside? He don't come home no more. He don't come home no more. He don't come home. The winds have died down to the first drops of rain. The smell of exhaust from the back passing away down the road that might end up at a dead end before long. Been feeling so bad, Manhattan by this storm. Oh, dark streets are meant to hide the bad parts of town. She can't tell what is good or bad with the rain all coming down, coming down, coming down, coming down, coming down. She stood around the corner as she stirred inside. How can a woman be so bottled up inside? He don't come home no more. He don't come home no more. He don't come home. He don't come home no more. He don't come home no more. He don't come home.
Nice, Ray. All right. Well, Dave's gonna grab his cello.
Well, it's good. At least I got a coyote into my a
Yeah.
coyote and a moon into my imagery.
Another
collection.
animal spirit of Dave's.
That's right.
Well, this soul coyote moon is a howling all across the land. Great Spirit, oh, you're dressed in blue. I knew, I knew, I knew we'd meet again. Go now and search for truth in the shadow of those big black army boots. 'Cause these wars, they will never end till we find and see and realize the great spirit within. This soul coyote moon is a howling all across the land. And great spirit, oh, you're dressed in blue. I knew, I knew, I knew we'd meet again. Cold wind across the desert has brought seeds of a terrible cancer, and I'm stricken, oh, with the fever of this world, this world, this world. You know I'll be leaving here. This soul coyote moon is a howling all across the land. And great spirit, oh, you're dressed in blue. I knew, I knew, I knew we'd meet again.
across the Great Plains. And I know it will never be the same as it was the day before Columbus came to this soul coyote moon. Is a howling all across the land, and Great Spirit, oh, you're dressed in blue. I knew we'd meet again. I knew we'd meet again. I knew we'd meet again. Some freaky cello for you.
We like that freaky cello, Dave. All right, well, you want to play him the beautiful song he was talking about?
What can I hope to find on the other side of this life? What can I hope to see on the other side of this life? Can it be any more beautiful than the Pacific Ocean? Can it be any more magnificent than a redwood tree? Can it be any more beautiful than a human emotion? Can it be any more magnificent than a you and me? Can it be any more beautiful? Can it be any more magnificent? Can it be any more beautiful? Can it be any more magnificent? What can I hope to find on the other side of this life? What can I hope to see on the other side of this life? Can it be any more beautiful than the city of New Orleans? Can it be any more magnificent than the Mississippi? Can it be any more beautiful than the Blue Ridge Mountains? Can it be any more magnificent than a good whiskey? Can it be any more beautiful? Can it be any more magnificent? Can it be any more beautiful? Can it be any more magnificent? Tell you a story, yeah, break it right down. make you warm and cozy when death's coming around. But it's only a story, and you know that's true. 'Cause heaven is right here, my friends, staring back at you. Can it be any more beautiful? Can it be any more magnificent? Can it be any more beautiful? Can it be any more magnificent? Can it be any more beautiful? Can it be any more magnificent? Can it be any more beautiful? Can it be any more magnificent? Can it be any more beautiful?
Wow, there's so many people to thank for our program tonight. First, the Two Tracks, our guests this evening. Glad you guys could be with us. Really, that was a beautiful tune. Loved your music tonight. You know, I forgot to ask you, the Two Tracks, where does your name come from?
Well, there's a lot of two-track dirt roads out in Wyoming, and I think that was the first thing that caught our mind, gave Julie the idea.
All my survey work, we were always
all right.
We were always parked on a two-track road, and you could just park right in the middle because you knew you weren't going to have anybody else coming down that way.
Well, again, thank you guys for coming. I want to thank, too, our volunteers and staff who make our production happen so beautifully and sometimes even flawlessly each and every week. Thank you for listening to our webcast, watching us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and those listening to us on the network of Red Barn stations and media worldwide. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn Radio's premier partner, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Listen online at weku.org. It's your chance to hear more great live music from Red Barn Radio and WEKU. Those of you here in the Central Kentucky area, you got to be sure to check out Red Barn TV. It's our weekly program of music, now on ABC 36 WTVQ. Red Barn Radio comes to you from our home, the Arts Place Performance Hall in downtown Lexington, Kentucky. Our website has updates and further information on our guests and our program. We're on the web at redbarnradio.com. And now, once again, please welcome back the Two Tracks to the Red Barn stage.
Scratchy records touched by little fingers over many years. Playing in the kitchen, she wears a princess dress. Fairy woman, printing dreams at an end. Spin a favorite song tonight. Keep those memories close inside. Oh, don't ever let them go, go, go. Spin a favorite song tonight. Take some time to watch the show, 'cause they'll grow, don't you know, don't you know. Little boy taps his toes, hasn't got the beat yet, but he's grinning with a listening. Stands up proud and laughs out loud, then falls upon the floor. When the music ends, he's asking for more. Spin a favorite song tonight. Keep those memories close inside. I don't ever let them go, go, go. Spin a favorite song tonight. Take some time to watch the show, 'cause they'll grow, don't you know, don't you know. 88. Oh, the dance floor opens up for all who's near. Take that hand, the lights dim down. The night comes around. One by one, those sleepy eyes are paid. Spin a favorite song tonight. Keep those memories close inside. Oh, don't ever let them go, go, go. Spin a favorite song tonight. Take some time to watch the show, 'cause they'll roll, don't you know, don't you know. Lay down to sleep, singing down by the river to pray. The same song they know from every other night. A head down on a shoulder and a hand hanging on. These years are gonna fly by. Spin a favorite song tonight. Keep those memories close inside. Oh, don't ever let them go, go, go. Spin a favorite song tonight. Take some time to watch the show, 'cause they'll grow, don't you know, don't you know. 'Cause they'll grow, don't you know, don't you know. 'Cause they'll grow, don't you know, don't you know. 'Cause they'll grow.
Well, that's all for our show for this week. You can see and hear Red Barn Radio worldwide, though, as we stream live on the web on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern in North America, archive performances on Spotify and iTunes, and mountains of video on the Red Barn Radio YouTube channel, including archived live streams like the one you saw tonight with the 2 tracks. Be sure to check out our social media for updates to our upcoming schedules and more information on our program. Remember, every like, comment, share, and subscription helps bring roots music Southern style to your neck of the woods. Red Barn Radio supports live music. If any of our featured artists are performing in your area, go out and hear them live. And now from all of us here at Red Barn Radio to all of our friends worldwide, it's our hope that you have a great week. Thanks for all that you do to keep each other safe and healthy. And until next time, good night from Red Barn Radio.